Hello guys, welcome back again to Vanzi channel. As usual this time, I will give you another list of recommendations to play on Winlator emulation. Today, the list that I will give is 120 Winlator games that you can play using low-end devices. In the following list played using Snapdragon 675, Snapdragon 680, and Snapdragon 695. Most of this list is mostly played using Snapdragon 680. Okay guys, no need to say much more. Let's begin. One, GTA 4. This game has been tested using Snapdragon 675, and as you can see, the game runs very well on this processor. 2. GTA 5. In the following gameplay using Snapdragon 675 and still playable until in-game. What a great achievement! 3. Tomb Raider 2013. This pretty cool adventure game can run pretty well on Snapdragon 695 as you can see here. 4. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Actually, this game runs pretty well on Snapdragon 680 and gets the same FPS as SD695. 5. The Witcher 3. By using the right settings, you can play the game more smoothly than this one. Use better settings. 6. Red Dead Redemption. Like the previous list, this game is also played on Snapdragon 695 and it certainly runs quite well. 7. Dead Space. By using Snapdragon 680 and above, this game can certainly be played on your device. 8. Alien Isolation. Use good settings that you can use to run this game well on SD680 and above. The following gameplay uses SD695. 9. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. As you can see, the following gameplay uses Snapdragon 695, and the game also runs fine on SD680. 10. Yakuza: Like a Dragon. Experience dynamic RPG combat like none other. Switch between 19 unique jobs ranging. 11. Yakuza Kiwami. The events start in 1995, 7 years after the events of Yakuza 0. This game run on SD680 above. 12. Dark Souls 3. As you can see, one of these heavy games can apparently be played all the way to the in-game level. 13. Ultra Street Fighter 4. This is one of the games that is quite interesting to play on low-end devices. 14. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. The gameplay shown below has been tested using the Snapdragon 695. See the resulting performance. 15. Hades. One of the light games that can certainly be played quite smoothly on Snapdragon 680 and above. 16. Assassin's Creed Rogue. This game is smoother to play on Winlator than Yuzu emulation on low-end devices. Gameplay using SD695. 17. Cars 2. This pretty cool racing game can now run on low-end devices SD680 and above. Use better settings. 18. Misside. No need to worry. This game can now be played quite smoothly on low-end devices. Gameplay on SD680. 19. Hollow Knight. This is a light 2D game to play on your low-end devices. Use better settings than this to play smoother. 20. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Even though this game doesn't run optimally on low-end devices, you can still play it in-game. 21. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. One of the best GTA franchise games. You can definitely play it very smoothly on low-end devices. 22. Five Nights at Freddy's: Into the Pit. This scariest horror game you can play on low-end devices now. 23. Rush Rally 3. Players will play most of the races on unpaved roads rather than paved roads. This game run on low-end devices. 24. Mugen: This is a 2D fan-made fighting game that should run very smoothly on Snapdragon 680 and above. 25. Chicken Invaders Universe. The game is an MMO in which players as recruits fresh out of the Heroes Academy. 26. Live for Speed. No doubt you can definitely play this game very smoothly on your low-end devices. 27. Mafia 1. This is a pretty fun open-world game to play. Now it can run on Snapdragon 680 and above. 28. Mafia 2. The next sequel can also be played very well on your low-end devices. Use the best settings to run it on your devices. 29. Cuphead. This is one of my favorite 2D games when played on Yuzu. You can also play it on Winlator now using low-end devices. 30. Need for Speed Most Wanted. As you can see, this game runs pretty well on your low-end device. 31. The Darkness 2. A brotherhood seeks the darkness powers for themselves using the ship Han. This game run well on SD 680. 32. Need for Speed Carbon. Just by using Snapdragon 680 and above, you can play this game and run quite smoothly. 33. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. With good enough settings, you can definitely play this game very smoothly. 34. Call of Duty 2. This franchise seems to be doing better than the previous list. Use better settings to run it well. 35. Need for Speed Underground 2. Use a resolution between 480 or 600 to maximize the graphics on low-end device. 36. Far Cry. This is also one of the most popular open-world games today. The following gameplay uses SD 680. 37. PES 2013. This is a fairly well-known game on this Winlator. The game is also quite light for you to play. 38. Devil May Cry 4. You can see the performance of the following game when played on the Snapdragon 680. 39. Far Cry 2. The sequel to the previous Far Cry. This is also a heavy game that you can play on your low devices. 40. Dragon Ball Xenoverse. One of the legendary games on Winlator right now. Use the settings that you think are better to run it. 41. Burnout Paradise. Set in the fictional Paradise City, an open world in which players can compete in several types of races. 42. Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead uses Valve's proprietary Source engine with 4 game modes. 43. Resident Evil 5. Sent in by the BSAA, Chris Redfield has a new mission. It takes him into South Africa where he encounters a new horror. 44. Resident Evil 6. As you can see, this game can run quite well using the Snapdragon 680 and above. 45. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. This game runs quite well and is quite smooth to play on Winlator compared to Yuzu. 46. Wise Memories of Kelceta. Another pretty cool game that you can play quite smoothly on your low-end devices. 47. Shank. This cool 2D game is also quite entertaining to play. You also don't need to use special settings to run it. 48. Shank 2. Just like the previous list. You also don't need to use complicated settings for this game. 49. Ultimate Spider-Man is a single-player third-person action, open-world, and quick-time events game in the Spider-Man series. 50. Saint Seiya Soldier Soul. Just by using Snapdragon 680 and above, you can definitely play this cool game. 51. Deadpool is an action-adventure video game based on the Marvel Comics anti-hero of the same name. 52. Lego Marvel's Superheroes. This Lego game is also one of the best in its time. Use the settings that you think are better. 53. Dead Space 2. Now you don't need to worry whether you can or can't play this cool horror game. This game runs quite well. 54. Legend of Korra. It's a third-person video game designed for multiple consoles, based on the series of the same name. 55. Assassin's Creed Revelations. This best stealth kill game can now be played on low-end devices. 56. Fallout 3. To be able to play this game smoothly enough, use the recommended settings from several channels. 57. Fallout New Vegas. This third-person game can definitely be played by you. This game was tried on Snapdragon 680. 58. Devil May Cry. This Devil May Cry franchise game runs quite well for low-end devices. Use better settings. 59. The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. This cool RPG game also can be played smoothly on low-end devices. 60. Saints Row the Third. You're not mistaken. Now, this game can be run on Snapdragon 680 and above. Use your best settings. 61. Far Cry 3. The following gameplay uses Snapdragon 680, and the resulting FPS is quite satisfying on low-end devices. 62. PES 2017. Snapdragon 680 and above can play this best sports game. Use the best settings to run it. 63. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. You certainly won't miss this cool game recommendation. Now it can run on low-end devices. 64. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. As you can see on the screen, this game runs quite well on Snapdragon 680 and above. 65. MotoGP 13. This game represents a riding simulation of a highly dangerous professional sport. Now you can run it. 66. Just Cause 2. In terms of performance, this game runs quite stably like other mid-range Snapdragons. 67. Resident Evil Revelations 1. Play this cool game on your device, quite stable. Use the settings that you think are better. 68. Resident Evil Revelations 2. To play this cool horror game, use the settings that you think are better. 69. Prototype 2. Sergeant James Heller must take down everyone who is responsible for the murder of his family. 70. Assassin's Creed 2. It seems like this game is better played on Winlator than using Yuzu. The game runs pretty well here. 71. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Play as Wolverine as you hunt down Sabretooth and fight other mutants. This game tests on SD 680. 72. Batman Arkham Asylum. You can play this cool Batman game now quite well on your low-end devices. 73. Assassin's Creed 3. Use low resolution and follow some of the setting recommendations below to run it. 74. Battlefield Bad Company 2. This is the game I used in the opening intro and also the thumbnail of this video. 75. Mass Effect, one of the famous franchise games from Mass Effect, can now be played on your low-end devices. 76. Marvel Ultimate Alliance. This RPG game can be played without requiring special settings for your low-end device. 77. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. This heavy game can definitely be played in this gameplay using Snapdragon 680. 78. Dead Island. This is also one of the heavy games that you can play on Snapdragon 680 and above. 79. Crysis. With some good settings, you can definitely play this cool game on your low-end devices using Snapdragon 680. 80. State of Decay. This game runs with frames per second above 10s. Use the settings that you think are better than those shown below. 81. Call of Duty World at War. It's the fifth main game in the Call of Duty series and takes place during World War II. 82. Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sand. By using just Snapdragon 680, you can play this cool game. 83. Dark Souls 2. This Souls-like game can also be played on Winlator quite well on Snapdragon 680 and above. 84. Borderlands. Borderlands is a science fiction first-person shooter game with RPG elements. Use better settings to run it. 85. Call of Duty Black Ops. By using only a low-end device, you can already play one of these cool games. 86. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 2. When you play this game on low-end devices, the FPS you get will only be around a dozen. 87. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This game can definitely be played very smoothly on Snapdragon 675 or above. 88. Dead Space 3. This popular horror game can be played on your device Snapdragon 680 or higher. 89. Castlevania Lord of Shadows 2. Dracula awakens after decades of slumber to find that Satan's return is imminent. 90. Fable: The Lost Chapters. Fable is a groundbreaking role-playing adventure game from Peter Molyneux. Now you can run it. 91. Avatar: The Game. You can play this game now on Snapdragon 680 or above. Use your best settings. 92. Tomb Raider: Underworld. One of the classic games with quite interesting gameplay for you to play. Now it can be played. 93. Halo 2. Halo 2 is an award-winning first-person shooter video game made by Bungie Studios. Now you can run it. 94. Yakuza 0. Even though the FPS is not stable enough, you can play this game on your low-end device. 95. BioShock. BioShock is a shooter unlike any you've ever played, loaded with weapons and tactics never seen. 96. BioShock 2. As before, you can also play this game even though it's not very good. Use better settings to run it smoothly. 97. Fear 3. As you can see on the screen, you can play this game on your low-end devices. Use better settings. 98. Deus Ex: Human Revolution. This is one of the cool action games that is worth playing on this low-end device. 99. Hitman Absolution. No need for high Snapdragon. Now you can play this game on Snapdragon 680 or above. 100. Ace Combat: Assault Horizon is a rather reviled entry into a series that has spanned nearly 24 releases. 101. Alice Madness Return. She's gone through the morbid world of Wonderland before, and now she must descend once again. Next, Naruto x Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections. The best fighting game that I like right now. Now you can run it. Next, Sniper Elite 2. By using a resolution of 600 and some other settings below, you can play this game well. Next, Driver San Francisco. Drive over 130 fully destructible muscle and supercars with realistic handling. 105. Blur. Blur is a racing game that is quite interesting for you to play. Now it can be played on low-end devices. Next, Rocket League. This is a racing version of a soccer game. You can play this cool game on Snapdragon 680 and above. Next, Prototype. One of the open-world games recommended to play on your smartphone. Use the settings that you think are good. Next, Far Cry 2. This is also one of the open-world games that is quite heavy for you to play on low-end devices. 109. Silent Hill: Homecoming. If you are looking for recommendations horror games for low-end devices, please try this one. Next, Kane and Lynch, Dead Men, is the new action shooter by IO Interactive, creators of the Hitman series. Next, Need for Speed Cross Street. This classic racing game from the NFS franchise can be played on Snapdragon 680 and above. Next, Need for Speed Shift 2. This is also one of the racing games from the Need for Speed franchise that you can play it. 113. NASCAR 15 was a very good game. It had realistic AI, good tire wear, and great graphics. Next, JoJo Bizarre Adventure. By using Snapdragon 680 alone, you are guaranteed to be able to play one of these cool fighting games. Next, The True Ingredients. The True Ingredient is an adventure game developed by Collect Moments. Now you can run it. Next, Darksiders 2. The performance of this game is quite good and you can play it using Winlator instead of Yuzu emulation. 117. Terminator Salvation. This quite exciting and realistic game can now be played on your low-end devices. Next, Ben 10 Power Trip. This Ben 10 franchise game can also be played quite stably. Use better settings to play. Next, Outland is a fast-paced, dynamic platformer where the player uses powers of light and dark in an epic journey. Final list, Lego Batman 2. This is one of the best games of its time. Now it can be played on Snapdragon 680 and above on Winlator. Okay, those are some games that you can play on your potato phone. Some games can also be played quite smoothly, and some games are not recommended for you to play on this low device. There are still many other games that you can try besides the list above. If you find this video useful and helpful for you, don't forget to share it with your friends. And don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the Van Z channel. Okay guys, see you next time. Bye.